There's a quiet power that lives in those who see clearly. Not just the words people say, but the truth they try to hide. Not just the performance, but the pattern beneath it. In a world that teaches us to speak louder, climb faster, and impress more, very few are taught the skill of seeing through. And yet, when you can read someone's energy, behavior, and emotion without judgment, you become sovereign in every interaction. You no longer guess, you perceive. Clarity doesn't begin with strategy. It begins with awareness, the kind that cuts through illusion like a blade through smoke. Most people don't see others clearly because they're not really looking. They're reacting, filtering everything through what they hope, fear, or expect. The mind rushes to fill in blanks, to confirm a story, to protect the ego. But here's the truth. You cannot read someone accurately if you're tangled in your own assumptions. The real shift begins when you stop trying to control the moment and start witnessing it. When you enter a conversation not to win, not to impress, not to be liked, but simply to observe, something extraordinary happens. You start to notice things, micro-expressions, emotional glitches, shifts in tone, what's being said, and what's carefully left out. Lao Tzu once said, "To see things in the seed, that is genius." But most people never pause long enough to see the seed. They only see the surface. You're not most people. This is the beginning of real perception. Once your awareness sharpens, you'll begin to see the 5 layers of human behavior, the ones that tell the real story, even when someone is trying to hide it. First, look for what stays the same. People can fake kindness, confidence, or openness for a while, but their real character always emerges in their consistent behaviors. Watch how they treat those they don't need. Notice what they do when no one's watching. Second, pay attention to how someone responds when life shifts, when things don't go their way, or pressure enters the room. Do they adapt with grace or retreat into deflection and blame? Stress reveals the patterns that charm conceals. Third, observe the energy behind emotion. When someone's reaction feels too big or too small for the moment, there's often something hidden underneath. Forced enthusiasm. Defensive anger. These emotional misalignments often expose deeper truths. Fourth, track their behavior over time. Not what they say they'll do, but what they consistently do. Promises mean nothing without patterns. Someone's future is best predicted by the trail they've already left behind. And fifth, notice the silences, the subjects avoided, the questions deflected, the gaps in their story. Sometimes what someone refuses to talk about tells you more than what they're eager to share. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That unconscious, in others and in yourself, is always whispering through patterns, reactions, and omissions. But let's not pretend everyone is simply unaware. Some people are intentional with their deception. And if you want to see clearly, you must understand how deception operates, not just passively, but deliberately. There are 3 primary ways people hide their true intentions. The first is physical deception, the contradiction between body and word. Someone tells you they're fine, but their jaw is clenched. They say they're listening, but their eyes are elsewhere. These are cracks in the performance. Don't ignore them. The second is verbal deception, manipulative phrasing, vague answers, or shifting stories. A deceiver often speaks just enough truth to stay believable, while bending the rest to fit the outcome they want. Clarity threatens control, so they avoid it. And the third is intentional deception, the orchestrated blending of verbal and physical tactics to construct a false identity. This is not confusion. This is calculation. It's the friend who keeps you guessing, the partner who never gives straight answers, the colleague whose charm never quite aligns with their actions. To navigate this, you must develop not just awareness, but discernment. To see through all of this, the confusion, the charm, the curated image, you must practice a principle taught centuries ago by one of history's greatest strategists, the ability to look beyond isolated moments and perceive the deeper pattern. Instead of obsessing over a single message, a single gesture, or a single slip of the tongue, you must step back and observe the whole. What's the through line in this person's behavior? What's the emotional rhythm of their choices? What's the story they keep telling? And what's the one they never do? This is what it means to watch large, to see the entire field, not just the details in front of you. Because the truth about someone's character is never revealed in one moment. It's revealed over many, in what they do, what they don't, and what they repeat. But here's the most profound truth of all. You cannot read someone else's truth if you're not honest about your own. If you want something too badly, love, approval, connection, you will filter out anything that threatens it. If you're emotionally invested, your brain will prioritize information that confirms your hope and ignore the signs that contradict it. This is why emotional maturity is the foundation of spiritual discernment. You must be willing to lose the illusion in order to see the truth. You must want clarity more than you want comfort. As philosopher Vernon Howard once said, you must drop all illusions before you can see what is real. So remember, the art of reading people is not about suspicion. It's about presence, observation, discernment. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about being clear and grounded in truth. When you master this art, you won't need to ask, what do they really mean? You'll already know, because your perception won't be clouded by longing or fear. It will be sharpened by wisdom. And that, above all else, is how you protect your peace and walk through the world with open eyes, a steady heart, and a spirit that cannot be misled.